The next thing we're going to discuss are network interfaces, and in particular how to use elastic network interfaces with your VPC. Now there's a few points to note on the screen about what an elastic network interface actually is, and it is each elastic network interface lives within a particular subnet of a VPC, and hence within a particular availability zone, and it has the following attributes that you see listed on your screen: private IP address, primary one or more secondary private IP addresses, one elastic IP, one public IP, one or more security groups, a MAC address, source destination, and a description. That is a little confusing, so we'll move on and try to explain it a little bit better. Now again, this statement is the best one I could find. You can create an elastic network interface, attach it to an instance, detach it from an instance, and attach it to another instance. And you can read the rest of that for yourself. But basically, the very important consequence of this, or a very important fact of elastic network interfaces, which took me a long while to work out or to fully understand, is now the idea of launching an EC2 instance on a particular VPC subnet is effectively obsolete since this came in. And a single EC2 instance can now be attached to two ENIs, elastic network interfaces, each one on a distinct subnet. This means the ENI, not the instance, is now associated with the subnet. Now that's a lot to take in, but replay that again if you don't understand it. Again, there won't be many, I haven't seen a lot of questions on network interfaces. Maybe once I saw a question in the exam, but you know, that's one that we need to get right. So and I think the question may, if it does come up, be around what an elastic network interface is useful for. Now this is some of the things. You can create a management network, meaning you could create something like a dual homed environment for your web application and database servers, and the instance's first ENI would be attached to a public subnet to the VPC's internet gateway, and the instance's second ENI would be attached to a private subnet. And then you could then use the private network for such things as SSH access, management logging, and so forth. And you can apply different security groups to each ENI so that traffic port 80 or something like that is allowed through the first ENI, and traffic from the private subnet on port 22 is allowed through on the second ENI. There's a diagram coming up that hopefully explains that a little better. Other things, I don't think I have it listed there, but Mac-based licensing. You can use ENIs for Mac-based licensing. Excuse me. So for instance, if you're running commercial software that is tied to a particular MAC address, you can license it against a MAC address of your ENI, and then later if you need to change the instances or the instant types, you just launch a replacement instance within the same ENI and hence the same MAC address, so that license will then be relevant to that and you don't have to change it. Other thing listed here is you can create low budget, high availability solution. For instance, attach an ENI to an instance, and if the instance dies, another one will launch and attach the ENI to it, and then traffic flow will resume within a few seconds. So that's just a few of the things we can do with an ENI, and this is a picture to show you how all the parts that we just talked about of VPCs, subnets, routing tables, and elastic network interfaces all interrelate. Try and understand this diagram. You can see there's two different network interfaces. Down here we have destination going to the same network interface. So any traffic around this IP or that IP are going to be directed to this network interface, this one here, and other traffic, default gateway stuff, will go to the other one. Security groups, as I talked about, are set up for Ethernet 1. This one, you're allowing TCP 80, so HTTP protocol, to access it, which is a public subnet, public traffic. That makes sense. And over here you're only allowing TCP from a particular IP address, which, let's assume that would be your IP address, so you can SSH to your web server. Okay, so that's network interfaces. I don't have a question. I would like to have one. Maybe I'll try and fit one in at the end of this, because it would be useful.